Cabinet meeting. As I am recently anointed into my new position, people please bear with me. It's my first meeting chairing, probably my last, it's fair to say. But just to advise, obviously, that Mayor Driscoll, Deputy Mayor Redfern, and also Councillor Sanderson have submitted their apologies. So that's where I sit in the ranking, really. Okay. So apologies for absence as I've recorded. Are there any others to register, please? Thank you very much. So item 3. Sorry, no, I'm going to get in. Declarations of interest. I do beg your pardon now. The High Street Fund report, which actually incorporates bike awards, so I feel it's appropriate for me to declare my interest being a biker ward member. Any other declarations of interest? Okay. Item 3. No. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Can we agree them as a correct record? Any matters arising? Miss Hands on page. I'm just coming to it. Beg your pardon. Page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Okay, thank you. North of Tyne Employability Plan. Councillor Kilgour.
I was going to say thank you, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Acting Mayor. Thank you, Acting Mayor. Chair. Councillor Cameron. Thank you. There are 3 principles I think it's important to weave into my political work: collaboration, working positively with those who work positively with me, listening to residents and communities and really hearing what will make a difference to them, and system change. For intractable and complex problems, it's not enough to throw money at things, although that often helps. Sometimes we need to do things very differently. So I'm delighted to present this report to Cabinet because it's about a fundamental change to how we tackle long-term unemployment and support people who are economically inactive. We want our residents to be in charge of their own lives, to be independent and free to make their own choices and everything that a decent income through a good job provides. For stubborn and seemingly impossible problems like unemployment, we need to go back to basics and see how the system works or doesn't, and collaborate with partners across our region to create long-term and sustainable change that makes a real difference. We need change that means we listen to our residents and communities. We need change that ensures we work in partnership. And we need change that we can deliver as a combined authority, as a coordinator, facilitator, and a convener. This employability plan is not about getting people into jobs. It's about creating a system that enables that to happen. A shift from a complicated and unfathomable system to a plan with structure and clarity. It goes without saying, sadly, that the overall reduction of the amount of European money available compared to the UK Shared Prosperity Fund is a potential funding crisis, but one we must navigate. Losing 2/3 of the region's income to tackle unemployment is not one we can ignore, and so we've created a plan that will not only, in part, offset this financial reduction, but will create solutions by thinking and acting in a way we've never done before. We will, of course, ensure that our UK SPF investment plan enables this plan to happen, combining what is already in the system with new funds. We'll create a continuum between local residents, our communities and employers, and a continuum between what exists and our new approach. We know that the impact of COVID is uneven across the north of Tyne, and there's a risk that it will deepen existing inequalities. We know we have a disproportionate unemployment and retirement rate. We know that ill health, disability and personal circumstances lead to long-term unemployment, and after COVID and amidst a cost of living crisis, people are further and further away from the labour market. And yet, the availability of work in the north of Tyne has improved, with the number of jobs increasing faster than population growth. This only makes sense if you looked at pre-employment support. There's work to be done before we can expect people to get a job. For so many of our residents, it's not as simple as here's a job, so go for it. Mums may need childcare, Disabled people may need transport. Young people may need living costs. Ex-offenders may need housing. Refugees may need passports. Homeless people may need postcodes. And they and we can do nothing until these needs are sorted and the platform for a different life is built. Much of this vital support comes from the voluntary community sector, and we're all indebted to them for their work. We must find ways of ensuring the sector cannot only continue with this work, but can be better connected, from the job centres to GP social prescribing. And I would use this opportunity to urge all GP practices across the north of Tyne to engage with social prescribing. It makes such a huge difference. Overall, my aim is a more efficient system driven by a shared agenda of integration and alignment. Through devolution, we've taken the opportunity to create a fairer, more productive and prosperous region, but more importantly, we've taken the opportunity to improve people's lives. With the employability plan, we can make programmes and projects, not about claimants or customers or cohorts, but about people. Our residents deserve to be treated with dignity, respect and fairness, with the chance to achieve their full potential. Having said that, I recommend this report to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kilgour. Can I ask if there any questions, observations? Lucy?
Thank you very much, Councillor Kilgour. Nothing I'm going to say does anything except support the ambition in this plan, or I'd probably call it a pre-employability plan. And the objectives are absolutely fantastic. It just seems to me that we have a real conundrum in the North East at the moment. We've got higher levels of employment, but we know that we also have higher levels of vacancies than we've ever had. And it seems to me that there's a role for us to work in partnership with the business membership organisations as well as we develop this thinking, to really understand why that is and how to tackle that conundrum, because there is just a mismatch. And it's great that you've consulted with 17 businesses in the area. That is scratching a very large surface, and I know that if the Chamber or the CBI or FSB were here, they would be chomping at a bit to try and support these activities and to really to get to the root cause of why do we have this sort of gap. So I think it's a terrific plan. My urge is to be really ambitious and bold in the next steps, and I realise that we have to target particular communities. Just as I left the House, something flashed across my email telling me that a minister I haven't heard of, which doesn't necessarily mean much because I'm following, hard to keep up at the moment, but it's the DWP Minister, Julie Marston MP, apparently has announced today, and I quote, a multi-million-pound offer to help the over 50s into and remain in employment. So I don't know if anyone else has picked up on that, but it's, you know, as you said, Councillor Kilgour, chucking money isn't the problem, although having a bit to chuck would be nice. It just seemed to me that someone might be able to access, you know, why can't the North East have its more than fair share of that? So these were just observations to support a very good paper and a direction of travel. And adding on the partnership work, of course, it goes without saying that the LEP have done enormous work around this area, and if anyone needs to be briefed about the work that we're doing and the importance of working with, you know, what they're doing as well, very happy to assist, but very supportive of the paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you. That's I'll check I got the right one. Thank you, Chair. So, fully support the report and the objectives. Just worth reflecting on a few things. So, in Northumberland, we've been having discussions. We had a major employers session last week. Undoubtedly, just to give us all the feedback, really, the absolute key issue for them is around skills and getting people into employment. And so it's absolutely critical and well timed that we're looking at this. And you can add into that, sort of looking at the latest employment data or unemployment data, which is encouraging given the economic shocks that we've had. I think that there are around about 6,000 or so people in terms of claimants in Northumberland. That's significantly lower than the average across England and the North East more generally. But the challenge for those remaining is going to be actually skilling up and providing that pathway to employment. And you can contrast that number with the number of vacancies, which I'm going to look on my screen to find 3,005 live job ads in Northumberland. So you can see that if we can only get enough people the right training, we're going to make a significant inroad into that. And that, of course, will make a huge difference in terms of inequalities and all the things that we're wanting to address across the North of Tyne and beyond. So fully support the report, and thank you very much, Karen, for an excellent document.
Thank you, Richard. Karen, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, really great to see the voluntary community and social enterprise sector referenced quite strongly in this paper. And I think something that we're very mindful of is the training is really great, the support to find work is really great, and this kind of pre-employment stuff around building skills, confidence, overcoming health inequalities, maybe accessing volunteering as a step towards employment is something that we know the sector has got a lot to offer. Also completely acknowledge the fact that a lot of this work in the sector is currently funded with ESF funding, and while the Shared Prosperity Fund offers some really interesting things, it's not as much money, so a real challenge in terms of how do we maintain the stuff that's working. But yeah, I guess also to mention that we reckon across the North of Tyne, the voluntary sector probably employs around 5,000 people as well. So I guess just curious to wonder how we might start thinking about the voluntary sector as an employer as well as a provision of support. And quite a lot of the workforce challenges the voluntary sector is experiencing is similar to other sectors. So I guess the more that we can support the sector around workforce development, the more and better jobs we should be able to create. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, did you want to come back and do those points?
Just very quickly, Chair, thank you. I think that's a really interesting point actually about the VCS as an employer as well as a deliverer of service. I think that's something we really should be looking at. So we'll have a conversation, please, if that's all right. I don't want to take any credit for the report. This is officers' work. It's a really good report written by very, very competent, very good officers. So thank you, Henry, to your team. I think that one of the issues we need to be constantly aware of and are aware of in North of Tyne is that this isn't just about getting people on training courses, it isn't just about getting people into jobs, it's about good jobs, and it's about looking to the future and making sure that our population is skilled for those jobs of the future that we know are attracting to North of Tyne, those good quality, well paid, with good terms and conditions jobs that are really important to us in this room and in this area. And I think we can't ever look at things like this without also thinking about those other key strands in our work around things like child poverty, because the root out of child poverty is good, well-paid work for families. So all of those things are linked together. We should never really forget that fact, I think. I think it's an excellent report. Thank you again to the staff for the officer team who've prepared it.
Thank you, Karen. Would again endorse the work of the officers. It is an excellent, concise plan with clear objectives, and I think equally, most importantly, as colleagues have identified, there is the cost of the financial pressures of less budget, but obviously a clear plan makes it far easier to lobby towards additional funding. So just happy to say that the Cabinet will support the contents and endorse the contents of the report and the plan. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item 6, the investment fund update. Carl, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. We've all seen that there are growing signs of an economic recovery. Independent forecasters are expecting rapid economic growth over the remainder of this year and into 2022. But I still have some concerns I will share with you about 3 areas in particular. Businesses reporting they are financially fragile, uneven recovery and growing inequality between those who are recovering and those who are not, and as a region having the highest levels of child poverty in the country. It is therefore essential we intervene where only we can to prevent a divided economy and divided communities. Since we met in June, we've approved a further £6 million, bringing the total value of committed spend to £68 million against 71 contracts. The number of jobs created through North Tyne Converted Authority investment has more than doubled over the last month to 380 new roles. And I look forward to making more projects in the next few months on skills, offshore infrastructure, housing and child poverty prevention. I particularly welcome my colleague Councillor Wearmouth's initiatives to support digital infrastructure and connectivity to unlock the opportunities on the North Bank of the Tyne, which are very close to my heart. In March 21, this Cabinet set an opportunity of healthy ageing and highlighted an opportunity to build an ageing economy cluster of research, business, industry and ideas. People with great ideas and new products to create, test and turn these innovations into an economic value here and export them nationally and globally. I'm delighted to announce that the National Innovation Centre for Ageing has proposed an Ageing Economy Cluster development project, building market intelligence, identifying businesses in the North of Tyne with potential to adapt or innovate to better meet the needs of older consumers. With a comprehensive programme of activities to engage the sector, build market intelligence, and identify businesses in the North of Tyne with potential to adapt or to innovate better to meet the needs of older consumers, and develop packages of business support. The National Innovation Centre for Ageing further extends our partnership with the University of Newcastle and is regarded as a unique national asset. 600 businesses supporting 140 new jobs, all in co-production with over 1,000 residents. We're innovating in a world that is changing. We also work with Northumbria University, some of the UK's largest leading publishing houses, and New Writing North to create a new centre for writing and publishing. Literature and publishing are key priorities for our culture and creative industries, and we hope we will refurbish an historic retail property. We all know the challenges facing the high street, the inevitable rise in internet purchases. But local business provided a lifeline during the pandemic, as more people have lived and worked locally. So we're developing the second element of our innovation recovery deal to support the evolution of our towns and high streets. We need to support the establishment of local independent traders, which in turn will support our towns and high streets, ensuring we promote our places and receive funding for their recovery. From the Union Learn project to Space Hive, from 2/3 of housing sites to brownfield housing, to increasing inward investment, from skills to business growth and jobs, we're making a difference. Finally, I'd like to commend the team for submitting a proposal to government for 8.9 million from the UK Community Renewal Fund, almost exactly in line with the 9 million maximum which could be sought. We are conducting authority investment in skills, ageing and technology, in supporting affordable homes, and ensuring people don't have to leave their hometown for a good job. The North of Tyne is the best place to grow up in and the best place to grow up in. Holden. I recommend this report to Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carl. Any questions, comments, observations?
Thank you. Yeah, really interested in the town centre and high street work, and how that may link to some of the community hub investment work that the North of Tyne has already invested in. Just down the road in Wallsend, in their shopping centre, there's some incredible community provision. So there's Anxious Minds offering support for veterans. There's North Tyneside Art Studio doing some really interesting stuff around health and well-being. So yeah, I guess just flying the flag for how we might bring kind of that community hub feel, or build on what's already happening in town centres, to make sure that these kind of bits of provision are on people's doorsteps. Thank you.
No, absolutely, Robin. Obviously, Wallsend is particularly close to my heart, being a Wallsend area councillor. But yeah, it's fantastic stuff going on in and around Wallsend, and this will help further revive Wallsend. Obviously, as a North Tyneside Council, we've got even further plans for Wallsend Town Centre. But I know Newcastle and Northumberland respectively have got fantastic plans for where they will be going to high streets. It's a real opportunity to do something on our high streets. It's one of the issues that any politician will tell you gets raised to them regularly, is that the high streets are dying and the high streets are dying. And we are uniquely placed with the opportunities that Combined Authority brings to intervene and really do something that makes a real difference on our high streets.
Thank you, Carl. Richard?
Thank you, Chair. So just to welcome the progress in the update report, and it shows the level of impact that the North Tyne is having and can continue to have. Just turning to the projects perhaps in the summary report, which I think are the additional or new ones to it's really good to see some progress in Scotswood. That's at least where half of my family comes from, and it's nice to see the regeneration going on there after they've left. Admittedly, they're not there anymore. Not least because all the houses have been demolished. But it's been really
good to see that progress.
which is new to me when I get the chance. Great as well to see additional investment going into the offshore renewable energy catapult and Blythe, as you might expect me to say. It helps us as a region, and particularly as a combined authority, stay at the forefront of investment and research and development in what's a multi-billion-pound industry, and the effects of that cascade not only through the Blythe estuary, but of course onto the Tyne as well, and into the east end of the metropolitan area, which is really vital. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Again, to reflect on the report of my great success at my first meeting, what an amazing journey that the Combined Authority has delivered on. The raft and breadth of activities are really, really impressive. I think that people have highlighted some of the successes. One particular feature I'd like to recognise is about the Good Work Pledge, with 38 applications in progress and 61 organisations already having signed up. And I think this demonstrates a commitment about good and well-paid and quality jobs. I think it's something that the organisation, the Combined Authority, should be very proud of. I think it does lead the way in the country. So, can I ask, therefore, colleagues, if Cabinet are happy to receive the recommendations and agree, which are identified at page 27, bottom, the 3 items? Thank you very much. Okay, item 7, draft statement of accounts 21-22. Janice?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this report includes the draft statement of accounts for 21-22, a complex document which includes the information that Cabinet received last month in terms of the outturn for the authority. It is a complex document due to the nature of the arrangements that the Combined Authority have with the Joint Transport Committee. So it's a group set of accounts with nexus information involved. We took the report to Audit Committee at the beginning of July. No issues raised from the committee in terms of the contents of the draft accounts at that stage. And included is the annual governance statement, which again, no issues have been raised. And that will get formally signed off once we get to the conclusion of the audit, hopefully by the end of November, hopefully. But really just wanted to bring it in front of Cabinet, no issues for Cabinet to consider, just to note the accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice. Any questions, colleagues? No, so we're happy to agree the recommendations, consider the draft annual governance statement and the draft statement of accounts 21-22. Happy to agree? Agreed. Thank you very much. Next item is yourself again, Janice. Thank you.
Yes, Chair, just flying through this lovely meaty document of accounts. Okay, so the next report is the first monitoring report for the financial year 22-23, and this sets out the forecast outturn for the authority based on the information we have up to the end of June. Sorry, I'm just nearly there. Report sets out the key areas of activity in respect of the corporate budget, which is the main operational budget of the authority, the investment plan, brownfield land and adult education budget. And what it gives you is a picture of where we think, based on information that we have at the moment, where we're going to outturn by the end of the year. No issues to report on at this early stage in the financial reporting timetable. We continue to monitor very closely. Key areas of challenge are around capacity within the authority to ensure it achieves the required level of delivery. We continue to work as a whole team around that. So really just for Cabinet to note the position.
Thank you very much, Janice. Everyone's happy to note the position and accept the report? Okay. Thank you very much, Janice. Item 9, Constitutional Officer Employment Procedure Rules. John?
Thank you, Chair. This is a report proposing a small change to the authority's constitutional procedures for the appointment of chief officers and deputy chief officers. At the moment, Cabinet needs to be involved in all decisions relating to chief officers and deputy chief officers. However, the small staffing structure within the combined authority means that a lot of officers fall within those definitions, whereas they wouldn't in a larger local authority. So the proposal is to delegate to the head of paid service HR decisions for all officers, apart from those which are specifically referred to in paragraph 2.3 of the report, namely the head of paid service, chief finance officer, the monitoring officer, and any officer at director level. And so the purpose of this change is to increase organisational efficiency.
Thank you, John. Makes absolute sense and good governance. Any questions, comments, colleagues? Happy to agree with the recommendations? Thank you very much. Well, there we go. We're on for a record, I think. Okay, item 10 is the date and time of the next meeting, which will be 2 p.m. the 20th September. I'm available for bookings, if people wish. Okay, well, thanks to everyone very much.
Thank you, Chair. 36 minutes.